Welcome back, everyone, to the English for Life podcast. I'm Joy.
And I'm Will. And wow, are we excited for today's episode?
You know, Will, it feels like we're always trying to find ways to make learning English a bit more lively. And today we're diving headfirst into something that definitely adds a lot of flavor to the language.
That's right. We're talking all about American English idioms. These are those really, fun but sometimes very tricky phrases where the meaning isn't what you'd expect from the individual words.
Exactly. They can be a real head-scratcher if you're not in the loop. But that's why we're here today, to unpack some of them and make them a little less intimidating.
For sure. Understanding idioms is, I think, key to really sounding like a native speaker and, just getting a deeper grasp of everyday conversations. So, get ready to dive in.
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny because when you first encounter an idiom, it can be, kind of baffling. You look at the words individually and you think, okay, that doesn't make any sense at all. Right? It's like if someone tells you to break a leg before a performance, you'd be like, wait, what? Why would I want to do that? It's not literal, obviously. Exactly. So, at its core, an idiom is really just a group of words whose meaning isn't obvious from the meanings of its individual words. It's a phrase where the whole phrase has a completely different meaning than the sum of its parts.
And I think that's why they're so important for English learners, isn't it? Because if you don't understand these, you're going to miss a lot of what native speakers are actually saying in everyday conversation. We use them all the time without even thinking about it.
Oh, absolutely. They really do add so much color and texture to the language. And it's not just about understanding the words, it's also about understanding a bit of the culture, too. Many idioms are rooted in historical or cultural contexts, which is really fascinating.
Yeah, it's like a little window into, American culture sometimes. So for anyone listening, this is why diving into idioms is so crucial. They unlock a whole new level of comprehension and, frankly, make speaking English a lot more fun and natural.
For sure. And we're going to make it fun today because we're going to go through some really common ones that describe different aspects of life, starting with, people.
Right. So let's kick things off with some idioms we use to describe, other people, because, we always have something to say about people.
Ha! Truer words. Okay, so one that always comes to mind, and it's quite sweet actually, is the apple of one's eye.
Oh, I love that one. My grandmother always used to say that about her favorite grandchild, which, was me.
Of course it was, Will. Always you. But no, seriously, the apple of one's eye means someone who is precious or loved above all else. It's usually a child or maybe like a pet, right? Something you cherish.
Yeah, exactly. Like, my niece is the apple of my eye, I'd do anything for her. It highlights that special affection. It's a really warm idiom, actually.
It really is. It paints such a clear picture, doesn't it?
It does. Now, pivoting from sweet to less sweet, let's talk about someone who is a bull in a china shop.
Oh, that's a classic. I mean, you can almost visualize it, can't you? A big, clumsy bull trying to navigate a room full of delicate porcelain.
Exactly. So, if someone is described as a bull in a china shop, it means they are very clumsy or insensitive in delicate situations. They tend to break things or, metaphorically, they just mess things up without meaning to because they're not careful.
Like, when Tom tried to mediate the argument between his friends, he acted like a bull in a china shop and just made everything worse. He just doesn't know how to handle sensitive situations.
Perfect example. Or if you have a friend who's always knocking things over, you might joke, "Dude, you're a total bull in a china shop today."
Very true. And then there's another one that describes someone who's new to something, perhaps a bit green, wet behind the ears.
Ah, wet behind the ears. That's a great one. It implies inexperience, doesn't it? Like, you're so new that you haven't even, dried off from being born yet.
Exactly. It means someone is young and inexperienced. Like, the new intern is really enthusiastic, but he's still a bit wet behind the ears when it comes to client negotiations. They need more time.
Yeah. Or, you might hear a seasoned professional say, "When I started this job, I was totally wet behind the ears, but I learned quickly." It's not necessarily insulting, just, stating a fact about someone's lack of experience.
Right, it's pretty neutral, I think. And it's one of those idioms that if you don't know it, you'd be quite confused. Why are their ears wet?
Right? It makes no sense otherwise. And speaking of confusing, but also very descriptive, let's move on to the stuffed shirt.
Oh, stuffed shirt. This one, I think, has a bit of a negative connotation, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. A stuffed shirt is someone who is tiresome, pompous, and self-important. They think they're better than everyone else. They're often very formal and a bit rigid.
Yeah, like, my old boss was such a stuffed shirt. He always had to be the one to make every decision and never listen to anyone else. It's that feeling of someone being too full of themselves, almost literally stuffed with importance.
And it's typically used to describe a man, interestingly enough. You wouldn't really call a woman a stuffed shirt. It's kind of an older idiom in that sense.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that gender specificity, but you're right. It doesn't quite fit for a woman, does it? So to recap our people idioms, we had apple of one's eye for someone cherished, bull in a china shop for clumsiness or insensitivity, wet behind the ears for inexperience, and stuffed shirt for someone pompous.
Yeah, these are just a few of the many ways we describe people using idioms, and you can see how much more vivid and descriptive they are than just saying inexperienced or clumsy.
Absolutely. And they really do help paint a picture, which is, I guess, the whole point of an idiom, isn't it? Okay, so that was our dive into describing people. Next up, we're going to talk about feelings and emotions. You know, when you're feeling on top of the world, or perhaps not.
All right, so from describing people, let's now pivot to something we all experience: feelings and emotions. How do we express those vividly with idioms?
Oh, there are so many good ones for this category. Let's start with, on cloud nine.
Ah, on cloud nine. That's when you're just blissfully happy, right? Like everything's going perfectly.
Exactly. It means you're just incredibly happy, blissfully so. Like, ever since she got accepted into her dream university, she's been on cloud nine.
Or, if you just got a big promotion at work, you'd be on cloud nine. It's that feeling of pure elation, like you're floating.
Yeah, it's such a positive image. You can almost see someone just, well, floating on a cloud. It's a great one to have in your vocabulary.
For sure. Now, what about when you're feeling not so great? Maybe, at the end of your rope.
Ooh, at the end of your rope. That's a strong one. It means you're just completely at a loss about what to do next, or in a state of utter frustration. You've exhausted all your options.
Yeah, like, I've tried everything to get my car fixed, but it's still breaking down. I'm really at the end of my rope here. You've given up.
Right. Or, after dealing with non-stop complaints all day, the manager felt he was at the end of his rope. It really conveys that feeling of, emotional exhaustion, doesn't it? It's similar to saying you're at your wit's end.
Yeah, that's a good synonym. It's like there's nowhere else to go. You're just done.
Hmm. And speaking of not feeling great, a very common one, especially during, well, cold and flu season, is under the weather.
Oh, under the weather. That's a polite way of saying you're feeling a bit sick, isn't it?
It is. It means unwell or ill. Like, I won't be coming to work today, I'm feeling a bit under the weather. Or, the whole family has been under the weather with this bug going around.
It's definitely less direct than saying, I'm sick, which is sometimes preferred in casual conversation. It implies like a mild illness.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit gentler. It conjures up images of feeling, I don't know, a bit foggy or stormy, almost like literally being under bad weather.
That makes sense. And sometimes when you are under the weather or just generally stressed, you might need to blow off steam.
Blow off steam. Yes, this is a good one. It means to express your anger, usually noisily and harmlessly, to relieve tension.
Right, like, after that stressful meeting, I went for a run to blow off some steam. Or, she was yelling a bit, but it was just her way of blowing off steam.
It's like a pressure cooker, isn't it? When the pressure builds up, you need a way to release it before it, explodes. So you blow off steam.
Absolutely. It's a healthy way to, let it out without actually causing damage, usually. Unless you're slamming cupboard doors, as the idiom reference suggested.
Laughs. True. So, to quickly recap our emotion idioms, we had on cloud nine for extreme happiness, at the end of one's rope for complete frustration or helplessness, under the weather for feeling a bit sick, and blow off steam for releasing tension or anger.
4 fantastic ways to express your emotional state without, being too literal. These really add depth to your English.
They really do. And they're used constantly by native speakers, so understanding them is key.
Next up, we'll dive into idioms that describe different situations and scenarios, including one that's very relevant to our podcast name. Stay with us. All right, so after exploring idioms for emotions, let's move on to idioms that describe various situations and actions we encounter in everyday life. And we have a really special one to start with, given our podcast name.
Oh, I know exactly which one you're thinking of. In the loop.
Exactly, in the loop. So, Joy, how does being in the loop relate to, being informed?
Well, to be in the loop means you're informed, you're aware of what's going on, especially in a group or organization. It's the opposite of being out of the loop. Like, Sharon had worked with the same team for nearly 2 years, but she still didn't feel like she was in the loop. Or, remember to keep me in the loop about the project, please. It's about being connected to information.
So, it's like you're a part of the circle, You're included in the discussions, you get the updates. It's so relevant to our podcast title, English for Life Podcast, In the Loop, because we want our listeners to be in the loop about all things English.
Absolutely. We want you to feel informed and connected. It's a really common one, especially in business settings or even just among friends.
Speaking of starting points, sometimes things don't go as planned, and you find yourself back to square one.
Oh, yes. Back to square one? That's, to return to the beginning. It implies that your previous efforts have failed or, they've been disregarded and you have to start all over again.
Like, the editor didn't like the article I wrote for the newspaper. She told me to redo it, so I guess I'll have to go back to square one. Or, I don't know. If a building project doesn't meet requirements, you might have to tear it down and literally go back to square one.
It really captures that feeling of having made no progress, doesn't it? Like, all that work, and now we're back to square one. A common pitfall for learners, I think, is confusing it with back to the drawing board. While similar, drawing board specifically means returning to the planning or redesign stage, whereas square one is simply the start of any activity.
That's a good distinction. So, you're back at the very beginning of anything. Now, what if you're really trying to make progress, especially on a task that requires a lot of effort late into the night?
Then you'd be burning the midnight oil. This idiom means to stay up late at night studying or working.
Right. If they expect to pass the test tomorrow, they'll have to open their books and begin burning the midnight oil. Or, the boss expects the new plans tomorrow, so the only way I'm going to finish them is to burn the midnight oil tonight. It really evokes that image of like a lamp burning late into the night, when electricity wasn't so readily available.
Yeah, it's a very evocative image. It's a classic idiom for hard work and dedication, pulling an all-nighter, if you will.
And now for an idiom that always makes me smile, probably because it implies a little bit of mischief. Spill the beans.
Spill the beans? That means to reveal a secret, usually, accidentally, or perhaps inappropriately.
Like, I told Bob not to tell anyone my secret, but he couldn't keep his mouth shut. He spilled the beans to the first person who walked through the door. It's like, you just couldn't hold it in any longer, and out comes the secret.
Exactly. It's a very informal way to say it. And it's often used when someone accidentally reveals something they weren't supposed to. It's, not usually malicious, just a slip. The origins are a bit murky, but some say it comes from an ancient Greek voting method where beans were used to cast votes, and if someone accidentally spilled them, the results would be revealed prematurely.
That's a great image, like all the secrets stumbling out. So to quickly summarize our situation-savvy idioms, we had in the loop for being informed, back to square one for restarting after a setback, burn the midnight oil for working late, and spill the beans for revealing a secret.
all really useful phrases that you'll hear and use often. These idioms really help paint a picture of various life scenarios.
Indeed. And speaking of painting pictures, next, we're going to wrap up our idiom journey and give you some final thoughts on incorporating these into your English for life. Stay tuned.
Well, that was quite the journey through idioms, wasn't it? From describing people to expressing emotions and navigating tricky situations, it's clear how much color these phrases add to English.
It really is. I mean, we've gone from talking about someone being wet behind the ears to spilling the beans and trying not to be at the end of our rope. It's, a whole different way of thinking about language.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope our listeners are feeling more in the loop about all these fantastic expressions now. It's so important for understanding native speakers, isn't it? Because we use these all the time without even thinking.
We really do. And that's the thing, right? Idioms aren't just like fancy additions. They're woven into the fabric of everyday conversation. They're what make English sound natural. It's like learning these isn't just about vocabulary. It's about getting a feel for the culture, too.
Absolutely. And that's what English for Life podcast is all about. It's not just about the grammar rules, it's about, the life part of English, the nuances, the cultural insights, the things that truly help you connect and communicate effectively.
Which, by the way, if you found this episode helpful, or even if it just tickled your fancy a little bit.
Oh, good one, Will.
Thanks, Joy. If it tickled your fancy, then please take a moment to subscribe to the English for Life podcast on your favorite podcast platform. And, while you're there, we'd really appreciate it if you could leave us a rating and a review. It really helps us reach more learners like you.
Yes, your feedback means the world to us. It helps us improve and also understand what topics you'd like us to dive into next.
And speaking of diving into more, for those of you who want to continue exploring American English idioms, we have a fantastic free resource available.
Oh, yes, we've mentioned it before, but it's worth highlighting again. The content for today's episode was based on a reference guide called In the Loop, a reference guide to American English idioms, published by the U.S. Department of State. It's a treasure trove.
It really is. It's packed with definitions, example sentences, and even origins for hundreds of idioms. It's like truly a great way to keep yourself in the loop on all these phrases.
And it's totally free. You can find a link to download it in the description of this episode. Seriously, go check it out. It's like having your own personal idiom dictionary right at your fingertips.
So, whether you're hoping to hit the jackpot in your English learning journey or just want to make sure you're not barking up the wrong tree when you use a new phrase, this resource is a must-have.
That's right. It's all about making your English more colorful and, helping you feel confident. So don't just go through the motions with your studies. Really lean into these idioms.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Joy. So, for English for Life podcast, I'm Will.
And I'm Joy.
Thanks for listening, and we hope you stay in the loop with us.
Bye, everyone.